For me, it was my dad used to play trombone.
Really?
Yeah, he used to play trombone.
It's nice to know.
And for some reason, he decided he bought to buy a bass guitar, which he bought for £6.
Wow.
And at some point, I can't tell the exact point, but it ended up with me playing it.
Oh, good.
And that is why I chose the bass. And then it just grew from there. I got more interest in it and listened to a lot more music. And yeah, and it just grew. It was the most natural thing that I ever done. It just happened.
Yes. Okay.
Alvin?
Well, the truth of the matter is, I didn't start out to play bass. I wanted to learn guitar. And at church, we had, you would remember, Brother Messam.
Yes.
We had Brother Messam, an older gentleman playing guitar, and Brother Berry.
Yes.
would
Yeah,
play
remember
guitar,
Brother Berry,
yeah.
yeah.
And banjo, and a bit of bass. Well, he was very influential in encouraging me,
yes.
but I wanted to play guitar. So then in the younger groups now, we had like G. Brown that was playing,
Yeah.
David Johnson that was playing, you had David Oliver, Josh, George Sinclair.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's quite a few guitarists.
That's
So
right, yes.
I imagine in my psyche that must have soaked in and I wanted to play guitar.
Yes.
So I learned a couple of chords on guitar, basically. Brother Berry, when he saw that I had an interest in bass, he would actually really, really encourage me.
Yes.
And a few times he even lent me his old top 20 bass.
Oh, yes.
So,
okay.
Because I never had a bass, couldn't afford one. You know what I mean? So kind of eventually just kind of eased over onto bass. But I just loved it because when I got my dad got me an acoustic guitar from Yardley's. Remember Yardley's?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
£11 with a little vinyl case in them times. But because I couldn't play any chords, I would just pick out notes on the bass strings and just kind of play little melodies. And with Brother Berry's encouragement and with him lending me his bass and stuff, it just kind of naturally
Progress.
put it over to there. Yeah.
Yes. Like yourself, yeah, Alvin, I'm pleased to hear you mention Brother Berry, Benjamin. Because he was my godfather.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And he taught me to play guitar. Right? I think I started in 1968. I think I was about age nine years of age when I started. So he taught me to play the guitar and so on. And being in church with a lot of musicians is the name that you mentioned. But what I find very strange, because I said, yeah, I should really be a guitar player. But every time I go to church and I walk in and they see me coming, they put down the bass. I said, wait, it's like they try to teach me I can't play guitar. I don't know what it was, you know what I mean? But that wasn't happening, So that's how I picked up the bass. But I'm supposed to be a guitar player, right? But I enjoyed the fact that I picked up the bass and learned the bass, as I was going through. Well, I had a cousin that was playing double bass, John Aldred.
I was going to mention Brother John, Joseph's dad.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he used to play the double bass back in the days. And as a child, I used to laugh when I used to see him play because he's playing the bass and his mind used to...
Yeah, that's right, Lino.
when he's trying to fight him.
It's true. It's true.
I was a child, they were laughing like it's happened to me. And everything like that, but I didn't take up that instrument until much later. But, I started off on the electric bass. But that's when my journey started, from guitar, to electric bass.
But I remember seeing you play guitar as well. Remember?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's how I started. Learning chords and things like that. Developing my skills too, from there. But the bass stuck with me from.
Strange how we've all started with a guitar and then progressed.
Progress from there you go.
But can you imagine going to a church where you got Josh playing guitar? What was I thinking that I wanted to play guitar? With Josh there?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like, because he was already playing like George Benson. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're saying that now. I don't mean to go, but it's interesting that you said that because after church, Josh and myself, David, we used to stay behind church. And volume was to be high, way up there. We just used to jam away back in the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Well, it's the same thing with me. I remember my dad, I think it was my 9th birthday, and he says, what do you want for your birthday? I says, I want a guitar. So Dad went and bought a guitar and some lessons. A man called Brother White from UT was giving me lessons, showing me how to. But I struggled with the chords, and then Trevor got to it really quickly, started learning, and then I remember going to a program, or it was a program or church, and I see this guy playing this thing with 4 strings. I couldn't believe it. And he was really into it because he did little bits and he played away, and I thought, that's what I want.
Yes.
I want to play bass.
Yes.
And that was my first experience with bass. And I thought, that's it for me.
Excellent, excellent, absolutely.
I know what yours is. But I always think about it because that's gonna. I know it's gonna explode because it's gonna bring back a lot of memories.
Yeah.
Probably where you played it, and you know if it was an altar call, you would always be hoping that I hope they play this chorus or song. So what's your favourite chorus? And you may have more than one, but let's just narrow it down to one.
Okay, there was quite numerous. I mean, Fire
Yes.
was one of my favorite. Yeah, you know, Fallen Me. You know, man, I it was a blazing time. You know, playing the bass.
Why?
Because the way how the sound of the chorus and the bass, how it was harmonized with the church, you know, playing. I don't know, for some reason, I just seems to let go, let loose, you know, in my playing.
Can you remember what key was in?
Many keys.
Many keys.
Every key. Back in the days, you exactly yourself for what you did.
Something else. Yeah, absolutely.
So it was never a given key, you know, it was playing, but that tune always stuck with me.
And they'll go on forever and ever and ever
Oh
and ever.
my.
Yeah.
For me, it was Jesus Hold My Hand.
Precious Jesus Hold
As
My
I
Hand.
travel through this
Yes.
Remember that tune? Once that, I used to say to my mum, play this one, because she used to, that was her favourite song.
Yeah.
So when she used to organise service, she said, all right, we're going to sing this song here.
Right.
And you know, so we're ready for that. Trevor used to be there, licking it, and you get in there pretty good.
Yeah.
Start off in, I think it was always C or G.
Right.
It was nice to play, do you know what I mean? Then we end up down here somewhere. But it was lovely. That was my favourite tune, even now.
Okay.
Yeah. Sound the Battle Cry. Good old convention song. I remember it really for Town Hall.
I would have thought.
No, it's on the Battle Cry. Sound the Battle.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Because that was like the devotion song. So you'd start that Sunday morning, Town Hall, everybody would still be coming in. And of course, you have to find a hook. So as soon as it gets to the chorus, you have to find some sort of a hook that would get people put down the bag and get them moving. The sight, still the sight of watching, 2,000-3,000 people all moving in the same direction is really something. Because then that stays with you. That's a sight that stays with you. So that song always springs to mind when I think of convention.
Excellent. Wonderful.
I think one of my favourites, it's hard to pick one, but one of them would have to be, I think, How Great Thou Art. Because there's something that just resonates in me with that song. And when you think that it was written by a former slave trader, How Great Thou Art, and another one would be Amazing Grace was written by the slave trader. So he must have experienced truly amazing grace to come from a slave trader. To not
John
be,
Wesley.
I think those two I would have to go for. Well, for me, one of my first inspirations and watching as a bass player would be this man here. And I remember back in the day when you got your Sunburst semi-acoustic that you called Lucy.
Right.
Yes.
You remember that?
Lucy, yeah. No lie, you couldn't make this up.
Wow.
And I remember just seeing him play. I remember you always played bass lines. You never just messed about and ad-libbed and blah, blah, blah. You do a little licks here and there, but there was always a solid line, And the tracks, you would just make tracks groove. And I never forgot that.
Wow.
Same with both of you as well, but you would be the first one that I really saw. And then watching Wayne at the town hall, you know, I'm a little kid and he's up on the stage, him and Ozzy, and it's just like, wow. You know what I mean? And hearing that big bass sound, like I said, I don't know how you got away with that. You know what I mean? You know? And then later on, because Wayne, I love your style as well, playing bass lines, and then you wouldn't play anything for 2 or 3 notes, and then you suddenly come back with it, and just like, oh.
And you know, if I was playing now, it would be exactly the same.
And that's fine. And that's fine.
Exactly the same, because that's a vibe that I still love.
But I think it's great because it's not always it's just about what you play. It's what you don't play sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's about what you don't play. And then seeing Glenn later on as well, and with Shiloh and people like, I think Jennifer Beasley, was it somebody used to play for? And True Vine, I want to say.
True Vine.
When Shiloh came in, man, and you came in with like your Fender bass, man, and your Black Precision, the tone, man, just smooth and round and steady. The one song I used to love to hear you guys play, I Go to the Rock.
Yeah.
When it started, dum, 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 whoa, the crowd would just go crazy. You didn't have to play anything else, the song done. You know what I mean? Yeah, so really, you guys, you know, apart from the older guys that you'd see first, like John Aldred and Joseph and all that, you guys were the ones that I first saw play and thought, yeah, man.
So about, from the secular point of view, which guys do you admire or?
From the secular point of view, I like some of the usual suspects like your Marcus Millers. Marcus, I really like for his feel. I know he can do all the technical stuff, but I think he's just got a really nice, sensitive feel, whether he's playing a bass line or a solo. Nathan East, I think he plays some nice grooves. He's not overly fancy. I think he just plays some nice, solid grooves. I love the stuff that he does with Anita Baker. And Anthony Jackson, his grooving, oh my goodness.
Something else, isn't it?
Yeah, really and truly. Just, there's a lot of other guys I like as well, but I think those 3, cool.
Same question to Wayne. Now come to you, Raymond.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little, in the presence of these guys, it's a little unfair really for me because I started so young, right?
Yeah.
And in the church, other than there was a guy down in London, and we were talking about in one of the Milton brothers that played for the Strings of Prophecy. Now I'm going back a good few years. And I watched him, and I'm not saying that he was someone I go, oh, I want to play like him, but he inspired me to carry on. But from an inspiration point of view, it has to be James Jameson all day long. And also Bernard Edwards from Chic. Because I just could relate to both of them, and there was a little bit of both of them in what I played and what I aspired to playing. So yeah, those guys were that's what the main inspiration. I enjoyed them.
Good. Well, I must say, and thank you for saying that, Wayne. I mean, Wayne's been my influence playing the bass. Sorry, you know, from I started playing the instrument. When I used to watch Wayne play and he used to roll that bass, that lick, repetitive style of playing. I've never heard that kind of playing anywhere, you know. I mean, I listen to the radio and all that, but he's been my influence from the start, you know. And there was never, I wouldn't even look at it as a competition. No. All right, you know, it was playing because we're going to church, worshiping, and we're sharing. You know, I remember when I came to your house, you know, and they're trying to pick your brain or something, you know. And then, but you know, visit as a brethren, you know, just to evolve more in my bass playing, and that.
And it's so strange that you were so young.
Yes, we were so young.
And when I saw you today, I'm thinking, gosh, where's those years gone?
I don't know.
Where's those years gone?
I don't know.
And as I said, I can remember going into Peel Street and hearing, and I walked in and I went, that sounds like me. That sounds like, and then Raymond, you had the reputation there for playing the same.
You know. So, like I said, there was never a competition. You know, you needed a springboard to work from. You got to start
Yes.
from somewhere.
Yeah,
You understand?
yeah.
And that's where my bass playing started from. Because I've got a son and a name after you.
Yeah.
Funny enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne, I said Wayne. I said,
It's very
I'm giving
humbling. I've got to say to hear this.
you know,
very,
no,
very
I'm telling
humbling.
you.
It
No, it's
is.
true.
It's
I named
really
the son
nice.
after Wayne because, you know, I looked upon him, you know, idly, you know, from my youth days, you know, playing, going to church because, I mean, going to church was the thing, you know. Sometimes I used to be the first there. You know, I used to run, my brother used to come, we used to walk. I used to run and leave him. He said, why you always running and leaving me behind? You know, but he's just trying to get there and, you know, to get on the instrument and start playing. Now, well, I come from, you know, Jamaican family background. So playing the bass back then and listening to music, I was listening to like a lot of reggae, you know, because my dad loved, you know, the reggae. So hearing a lot of reggae tune being played and that. So that's sort of gone into me, into my way of thinking, right? And I used to come up with like reggae bass lines and that, you know, I used to invent things and wondering, no, what is to do with that? You know, so it's like the creativity part of my training, you know, coming up. As term as bass players back then, obviously, you would have had the early, I wouldn't really have known the name, but those that played, like with the guitar player, Ernest Ranglin.
Val Douglas was one of them.
Yeah, I played with Millie, my boy, you know,
Yeah.
buddy.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, because Ernie arranged it, I
Ernest
believe.
You know, I
and
played with
guitar
him.
on it.
Matter of fact, I played with Ernie, Ernest Ranglin in Jamaica and here in England. So, you know, my journey, you know, that way as a bass player, right? You know, listening to the whole, like Lloyd Parks and then kind of bass
We the
player
People band.
coming up, right? So, it's like in the later years when I get to, I think late or early 80s when I start to get to learn about other bass players, like Stanley Clarke.
Yes, I think
Yeah, you know, what get with
Jacko.
Stanley, what get with Stanley Clarke is his clarity, right? His sweetness. And I was playing one of his tune, you know, listening to one of his tune. And my brother came in and said, "Is that you playing?" Oh, no, that's not me playing. You know, but he thought that was no, that's you know, Stanley. So, you know, you had the Stanley, you had the Jacko, you know, back there.
Pastorius.
You know, and then, I mean, later on, I've got to introduce like Ray Brown, you know, like on the upright bass when I started to play. But all those bass players that I mentioned, most of them was like classically trained. I mean, I didn't really know this until when I started reading the book. It was like a explanatory, it was saying how to obtain a tutor in the way you want to, or the style that you need to play. And I remember the instrument that I started to play was a double bass, and it was saying I need to find like an orchestral player, you know, on that. And what I did, I rang up Burnham City Council. They got me to the CBSO, and I spoke to the principal. I think it was John Tattisdale at the time, and I told him I'd like to learn to play the instrument, and he put me onto Charles Wall, which is still my tutor today, you know, from all that time, you know, and I just love it. I just carried on with it.
Yeah, man, that's good. That's really good.
Glenn, same question. I bet you've got a question.
what was the question?
The question is, which bass players influence you?
Well, obviously from the start.
Church and then second. Oh, sorry, go.
It was Wayne, seeing Wayne play all the times in revivals and convention. And then as I went to learn and to experiment, I listened. I remember hearing, because at home I used to have to hear with earphones, listen, because you couldn't play the music loud at home. You know, what was that radio station that you could hardly hear?
PCR.
Luxembourg. Yeah.
Luxembourg.
That's
So I
right.
listened in Luxembourg.
Yeah.
And I remember Earth, Wind and Fire. And I thought, so I went and checked that Earth, Wind downtown at one of them shops. They played it for me. and it was Verdine White.
Right, yes,
So I just
yes.
loved the way he just the way he was playing like that staccato. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I listened to him. So like, you know, just any chance when you're playing a chorus to drop that in, me and Trevor would just drop it in there. You know, it was lovely, you know. Then I moved on to, I remember I was at school and we had this lesson one time and I went to this guy's house.
You did what?
We had the lesson. So I went to this Jamaican Indian boy named Humphrey Gopi. And I remember going in to his room and he said, Glenn, listen to this. And it was Burning and Looting. I wasn't into reggae then. And he played that. He said, you see this man here? Bob Marley. Like a big one there, you know.
Okay.
Then I remember at 75, myself and Ray went to Jamaica with Mum. And Bob Marley was all over the place. And I bought my first album. Yeah, we put it back to England. And that's it, Family Man. And I couldn't believe what the man was playing.
Yes.
I just couldn't. I used to sit down and it was in my car, at home, headphones on, of course, listening to it. And man's playing and he's dampening the sound. Sometimes he don't play at all. Then he'll come back in. And I just blew my mind.
Jameson of reggae.
And years later, you know, church, you get to play secular music. I joined the band and was doing Bob Marley stuff. So I already learned it. I remember going for the guy called me up, wanted me to do an audition. So I've gone there and I knew a few guys and he said, look, see if you, so I already knew the Marley's tune. So I've gone in there and it was a belly full. He said, I'm gonna do belly full. Drop pan that, Steve.
Yes.
Drop pan that now and he done. And he says, done another tune and he says, yeah. Listen, if you want the job, it's yours.
Good.
And I was with them for 10 years. And then while being with Legend, we got a phone call from, an email from Portugal saying they need a bass player to play with the Wailers.
Oh, right.
So I got flown out there to play with the Wailers. Junior Marvin and Al Allison was in the band at the time.
Fabulous.
You know, played. And then they called me back again, went over again, and played with them. That was an experience to me.
Oh my God!
You know, and I'm still playing today. And like people have said, I just love playing the bass.
Excellent.
I love it. I can hear a piece of music and I could put a bass line to it straight away. Do you know what I mean? I can. And people have asked me, can you just put a bass line on this for me? And I've done it. I've listened to it. And I do my own bass line. But it's the reggae for me. Because it's the deep bass.
Deep bass.
Do you know what I mean?
Nice, Glenn. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I was
That's
saying
true.
to somebody the other day, just when you get a nice tone on a bass, there's nothing sweeter.
No, you know.
I've never done drugs or drinking or anything like that, but I think the sweetest high has got to be from music, and especially the bass tone.
I'm telling you.
That's right. That's gosh.
I'm telling you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, I should imagine bass amps now must be something completely different to what they were back in the day.
Sound-wise,
But
has it changed?
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure valve bass amp's still a thing.
No, not really.
Yeah, you see.
I mean, for me right now, as Alvin know, I'm using a Jens Benz. There's a shop in Leamington Spa that does for basses. Just like you go to a guitar shop, where you go there, it's just pure bass. You know, so I went in there. I was taking there, a mark, and I assessed to him the style of music that I'm playing, or what amp has he got to accommodate, you know, and so on. So he says the Jens Benz is a bit of valve and transistor, and it's got a very warm sound.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You know. So, you know, once he set me up with a Bergantino 15 speaker and that, and he allowed me to play it. And I had to stop because it's like the guitar you know what I mean? So he was to say, that was the album. That's the one. You know what I mean? So at the moment, that's what I'm using is a Jens Benz 900 head. As a matter of fact, I got two of them.
Give me one.
And the reason being, you see, you never know, you're on a gig, if anything, you can switch. And not only that, I've been on gigs where they come and say, you know, can you use a bass rig? Yeah, okay, I got one here, use this out. You know, so my setting is always set, and I allow them to use the other one so they can use their own setting. Because you know,
What was
everybody
that
played
bass setup
different.
you had at the first Prince reunion? 'Cause
That was
that sound nice.
Mark bass.
I did like that.
That was Mark bass. Yeah.
I did like that.
The next one. Then I'll come to you, Alvin.
No
Then
problem,
I'll come
no
to you.
problem.
See, what's your bass and
Fender Jazz. You gotta go for the Fender Jazz. You gotta in your collection. You have to have a Fender Jazz.
Too right.
And I've got one. But I started off with the Fender 100. I think it was 412 inches.
Nice.
I had in there. And that for some time. Then I moved on to Trace Elliott's.
Okay.
And a Trace Elliott stack with that. And then things started to get smaller because them things were too heavy. So I moved on to the Mark bass. I've got a Mark bass. So I've got a Mark bass amplifier with a 15-inch.
Okay. Yeah.
So when it's not too hard to use, you get your sound straight away. I think it's 500 watts output. So it's, you got everything going on there. So that's what I use
So
now.
that's just one speaker in there?
One speaker.
Wow.
No tweeter, just one speaker.
Yeah.
Is that the Trace Elliott or the Fender?
That's the Mark bass.
The Mark bass,
yeah.
bass. Because funny you mentioned Trace Elliott, because I introduced Trace Elliott down to Birmingham.
Yes.
You remember?
I remember.
Yeah.
I came to your house, Mustin Road,
Yes. Okay.
in your bedroom,
Yeah.
and you had these brochures with advertising Trace because it hadn't come out yet.
That's correct.
And you said to me, "This is coming out
Yeah,
sometime.
so-
This is
well,
what I'm
you
going to
remember
get."
it. Yeah,
You're the
that's right.
first person that
That's right.
mentioned Trace Elliott.
So what had happened was that, as Alvin rightly saying, you know, because back then, you know, you're looking at things, you know, trying to improve amps, whatever, what's out there in the market. So I drove down, a friend of mine, we drove down to, I think it was Essex, went down there, and they had about 3-4 Stanley Clark basses down there with the fretboard all eaten up, you know, on sale, you know. Well, okay, no, but I came for the Trace Elliott, but you know, it was there for what, you know, at the time.
Olympic bass, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Olympic bases. That's right. Yeah. So you know, I of course went through the spec with the Trace Elliott, everything about it, played on it and all that. So when I came up to Birmingham, there's a shop called Woodruff's.
Yeah, remember Woodruff's? Wow.
That's right. So the rep that was there, I was telling them about, they didn't know about this Trace Elliott, so I gave them all the information. And they brought up.
Pause the point there. Just back to go.
wow, that's some history there, you know, guys. And nobody would know that about Trace Elliott because everybody was using Trace Elliott.
At one stage, yeah.
And that's because of you.
Yeah, well, let's say it probably eventually would have come.
Yeah,
but I'm
you
just
see-
saying,
But you see my point though.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah.
we taught this story.
you wouldn't know. And I'm glad that you remembered.
I remember it well.
You know, yeah,
The bedroom,
yeah,
Mustin
yeah,
Road.
that's
What was
right.
it? I forget
I
about
think
Mustin
it
Road.
was
Yeah.
us that kept Woodruff's in business.
For real.
You know, Black man was going in.
Yeah, that's right.
Every Saturday, go look.
They used to have an alembic in the window, right? I think at the time it was something ridiculous, like about £2,000 way back in the day, and you had to make an appointment to play it. Yeah, you couldn't just go in and say, "I want to play." You had to make an
Yeah,
appointment.
that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were the first one I heard mention Trace Elliott. Definitely.
That's
Yeah.
Oh, can I come to you, Alvin, then? Rig-wise. Bass and rig.
I think one bass I really like is I've got an old JD. Yes, first bass I ever had made. Dreamt about it for years, and eventually was fortunate enough to have one made. And I like it because it's got active electronics, but it's got 2 single coil passive pickups. So you can get a nice mellow, almost like a precision type of tone, but you got some actives if you want to boost it up a bit. So I quite like that. And I've got another old bass that I've been using for about the last 25 years or so, that I like, which is more modern sounding if I want that kind of sound, but I like my old JD as well. In terms of amps, I mean, these days, now is the best time to be a bass player if you want gear, because there's such
true,
choice,
that is true.
so light,
is,
you know,
yeah,
expensive, but you know, a lot lighter than the heavy stuff we used to carry. But one of the old amps I really like, the old Ampeg SVTs.
Oh, right,
You
okay.
can't beat them, man. You remember them? Yeah.
Oh, God. With a 8 to
From
10.
workhouse, man.
Yeah. Oh, God, man. I toured with one of them, man.
There
in
you
America.
go.
Oh, amazing.
Fat and smooth
Amazing.
and round. But you guys know.
Yeah, the valves
But
on
going a bit later on from the from the Ampeg stuff. One rig which I toured a lot with, which I really liked, the Eden WT 800 with two 410 cabs. That's a nice, solid, more modern kind of rig, but you can get any sound you want for it. Great for reggae.
These
or-
guys, man, brilliant, brilliant.
Well, I must say that, Alvin, it's really nice to hear that, because I got to thank you for introducing me to the, is it the JD,
Oh, the PJB, you mean?
PJ, the
Oh,
PJ,
okay,
PJ.
yeah. Phil Jones.
This
Phil-
Alvin
yeah.
knows his stuff, man.
Yeah, it does. That's one thing I always, even the other day when I was going over to Slovakia, I went to check with you about the amp, because he's really up on the specs. With that is
You can
concerned.
hear, you can hear his stuff.
So
Yeah, man.
with the double bass, because it's a difficult instrument to, to use for pick up on that. So I said, what bass do you recommend? And he gave me a list to pick from. And he was saying, well, these are good, but they're expensive. And I said, really? Okay. So I went down to P&T, that's it, yeah. And lucky enough, there was a briefcase, was there?
Yeah, there was
The
a briefcase, the
yeah.
suitcase,
Yeah.
the 6-pack.
The 6-1, that's the one that I'm using now, right?
No, you're using the Superfly case.
Superfly case,
Yeah,
that's the one. Because when I tried the first one, I brought a friend, and he stood about same distance where you were, the base. So the projection. But as soon as I put it into this
Superfly case.
the projections was
Yeah.
whoop, and he went.
That's nice. That's a
and,
nice
then,
thing.
and then the rep was there, right? Because the rep came over and he was showing me different videos of people trying out it and so on. So yeah, I was very fortunate, and thank you for introducing, because I play a lot of jazz, and I'm not kidding you. A lot of them say, "How is it your bass sound like that?" And whatever you hear right there, you're hearing it.
Yes.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay.
It flows. It's saying, it's a walk in the room. You're hearing it. And they're only 5 inches.
Yes, 6 5-inch speakers,
5-inch
custom
speakers.
made
You
5-inch
got one
speakers.
in it?
I got one now.
Because I remember coming to yours and you had one in a case.
Yeah,
by the side.
yeah. So it really helped me there with that, man. And oh man, I treasure that. I really
No
do.
problem, man.
And people, I remember I was playing at the Malthouse. I don't think you've been down there at the Malthouse.
Not for a
I used
while.
to play,
Yeah.
And I'm playing away. And I went, how come there's so much bass players in this room?
They're going to be watching.
He just talked to me, why is there so much bass playing? Zooming across. They come in and looking over to see what's going on. And somebody you come and ask, what is it you're using? And I said, oh, this is what I've got. And then I said, man, your sound. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The equipment does help.
Of course.
Without a doubt. So, yeah.
Did I ask you?
I would say know your bass. So get familiar with your bass. Learn your chords, your arpeggios and all of them things, right? And practice. That's the only way you're going to get better. And listen to people and share what you know. That's it.
Yeah, for me, you've always got to have in your head what you want to hear. You've got to know that when you're playing bass, that there's something you want to achieve with the sound.
Yeah, true.
So for me, it had to be melodious, loud, and deep.
I hear you.
That was it. And also you have to feel. Feel is the most important thing.
Absolutely right there. 100%.
When you're playing,
100% there.
there's a part of any song. It hits a part where you feel something like a tingle, and you got to hit. You just know that you're hitting the right melody, the right bass run, everything. And it's just knowing that you have an idea of what you want to hear.
Yes,
That's me.
right.
That's how I play. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because I've taught pupils that I've had, and the first thing I ask them, why the bass? Why do you want to play the bass? Do you love the bass? And so, well, how do you see your role playing the bass? And that, it is a demanding instrument. right, is one of the most demanding instruments in the band. Without the bass, you know, how can you function? You know,
Exactly. There's no life without bass.
you know what I mean? So I can ask you, so why, you know, so they're telling me the reason why, you know, they love the bass and all that. And as Glenn was rightly saying, as much as I would say to them, you need to know your scales, know the bass from, you know, open up to the 24th fret on your bass, you know, right down and everything. Right? I says, you know, if not myself, get a tutor or learn to read. You know, I didn't learn to read till much later on. And of course, the information above already what I probably would acquired from Wayne, even yourself now. You know what I've learned from other bass players. You know, I find looking in like books and other areas, you know, has helped me as well. You know, so I can't discriminate the fact, you know, that I've just, you know, just play the bass stuff like that. You know, I looked into other areas in where that is concerned. You know, yeah.
I think one thing I would say, I would advise guys to learn to be a good servant. Learn to serve the song, not yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because all too often I hear guys just trying to be flash and fast and furious, and it has no relationship to the song.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
So serve the song. Play what makes the song sound good, not what makes you look good.
Yeah,
That's
that's very true.
Absolutely
That is
right.
very, very true.
Absolutely right.
Because, you know, so many times I see bands playing, and what I'm hearing, I'm not hearing a band, I'm hearing a bunch of individual guys all doing their own thing.
That's right.
And that's one thing I loved about Charlotte Band. Every man had his little spot. And when you put it all together, it was just like, it was so tight, it was waterproof. You know what I mean? Tight, tight, tight. So, you know, there's, unfortunately, in my experience, I'm coming across a lot of guys who kind of have a bit of an attitude, and you know. And I think even if you can play, there's no need to be big-headed. and
No,
arrogant
not
and
at all.
cocky,
No,
you know what I mean?
Not at all.
no.
I mean, if you guys were like that, we couldn't be friends at all.
No,
you
not
know,
at all.
because, you know,
Exactly.
If I know that you bust a bass drum, I can say, hey, I got some strings here if you need it, you know.
Yes.
You know.
I agree with you 100%. Absolutely right.
Yeah, and it kind of it saddens me. It saddens me when I see, you know, the attitude and the
Yeah.
cockiness and the,
I mean,
you know, arrogance.
No need
you
for
know.
that. No need for it. Yeah. So true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I really, as you know, like the way you develop and playing your bass. Really. I mean, the other day, as you know, just come back from with Ricky. And I would say, I really would have probably done a better job, you know, playing. You know, you know, it's because it's style of playing. You know, because I played with Delegation back in '84, right? That's 37 years ago, right? That I played with Delegation, and the two people that I left besides the vocalist was Trevor playing guitar and Stewie and drums, and it was almost like a reunion. Well, when it was more a reunion more than anything, going down to Northampton, and you know, Trevor, for health reason, he couldn't do this trip. When he came, you know, to see,
Okay, good.
you know, took photos and we talk about, you know, the good old days and, you know, he used to have hair on our heads.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, so, you know, that was an experience coming back and playing that kind of style because I really played that kind of style
For a long time.
for a long time.
Thanks. I must say as well, though, Ray, for real, I am so pleased and so proud. I mean, not just your electric playing, but when I hear an upright, have you heard him on upright?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Shouldn't be allowed. But seriously, I'm so pleased because I know it's a lot of work to learn to play the upright. And I know you'd have had to put in year after year after year.
Gosh,
I'm
man.
really pleased and proud to see how well you've taken that.
yeah.
One other thing I must mention, you know, you talk about fat and bottom end and stuff. This man, your Sir in Vega rig
You remember it?
from 1979. This man used to have was it 18-inch in there?
I think it was, yeah.
It was a disgusting, dirty rig. Out of order. Completely out of order, man. I'm telling you that rig was. He used to rehearse at the pub on Nineveh Road. So when you're coming down Saw Road, I think like the first road on your right, just on the corner there. But when you're on Saw Road, you could hear the bass.
Yo.
I don't know how that pub didn't fall down, man. Seriously. I mean, a disgusting amount of bass.
Yeah, man.
Wicked.
You remember that?
The grey Serene Vega rig. I remember it very well. Very well. And then you got, after a while, you got Jenny.
Yes.
Jenny is his Black Precision. And he got this Black Precision. And he had it customized with a brass scratch plate and brass knobs.
Oh, right.
I'd never seen anything like it. It was like, whoa. But that bass is called Jenny. So the one bass is Jenny and the other bass is Lucy.
My, I can't believe you remember those.
The man got the memory, man. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Well, I played to that generation. That generation is what I played to, right? Because the early church was made up of the Windrush generation. And so, of course, I grew up playing to those guys. And one of the things that sticks out is you would be like in a lot of times we had school halls. So when you was playing music, you could hear everybody tapping the same beat. And you're there playing away, and there was that is something that doesn't leave you, you know. But yeah, the singers, you know, you had like Sister Moore, you know, and Sister Taylor. These were old time singers that I grew up playing to, so they had a huge impact on me.
I'm thinking that if it wasn't for the Windrush generation coming over, I don't know if we would have had the musical chances, opportunities that we had. Because had we grown up in the Caribbean, for instance, we might not have had things to hand that we could have done.
No.
I mean, when you're struggling, when your parents are struggling to put food on the table, who's going to have money to go and buy you a guitar or a bass guitar or whatever? So I think and I know a lot of them really suffered and went through a lot of racism and discrimination and stuff. But I think they were determined to make things easier for us than things were for them, and we got opportunities that we would not have been able to dream about.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Really, it's just. I think we owe them a great debt.
Absolutely.
Really, what some of them went to, as we all know.
Yeah. Well, I can remember just like when it's the sort of songs that they used to sing back in the day. I mean, we mentioned earlier on like the altar calls and the songs what used to go on for about half an hour.
Yeah, for real.
The genre of the music changed as it was going on. The keys changed, and they brought that thing with them. Even the preaching, they brought it with them when they came over here.
That's right.
So you know, we learned a lot and we sing a lot, and it's nice to know that they're recognising it now. So it's well done.
Yes. Yeah, thanks Glenn. Alvin, I'm so happy to be sitting amongst you, all of you here, right? My heart full of joy, absolutely. Talking about our experience, our journey that we've been through as young men coming up. And as you know, you're rightly saying that the songs with the Windrush going through that generation, how they seems to know whether you were Jamaican or Trinidad or wherever Caribbean the country you come from, right? They all like singing the same song. They seems to know, right? Whenever. And then if you're playing the bass with them on top of it, it's even making it even more
Sweet as the day goes by.
and you enjoy it. And then you'll be hearing stories, you know, they'll be telling you the experience that they had when they come over into the country, jobs that they had to do, you know, family they had to go through, you know, and all. And it was such a joy to listen to hear the different, you know, experience that they have, you know, going through. And I thank them, you know, very much for, you know, and you know, for them to share those kind of moments.
Yeah.
You know, because that's helped me, you know, grow up as a young man, coming up and understanding the world, the people, because you're compromising with, you know, the neighbours, you know, the community as a whole. You know, you got to know yourself and respect others, you know, as I went through, you know. So, I mean, there've been turbulence time back in the early days, you know, and I mean, I don't want to, you know, finish this like on a sour note. I mean, as you know, racism still is active, you know, out there. You know, one needs to be careful of what they're doing with themselves. Music does play a big part in, you know, bridging the gap, you know, for that, you know. So all I would like to say, if we're ending, you know, is just peace, love, prosperity, you know, for everyone. You know, so, yeah.
If I can, I would like to say, don't mean to go to you.
Yeah.
For me as well, I think the training, the musical training in the church situation, for me, is the best training I've ever had.
Absolutely.
Because stuff that I learned as a child, as a young man, playing music in church, that stood me in good stead later on. I mean, I'm lazy, so I don't practice, and I'm impatient, so I don't practice, and I just don't practice because I just don't like it. But when I've gone out and done stuff, what I learned in church as a kid, it's worked for other people. It's just
with you. Yeah.
good training.
I've asked him many times, Joffrey, come up, we study together. Oh, I said, all right, then. Seriously. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, obviously, because one of the points, and I definitely want to talk about lost legacies, you know, in terms of people that, you know, we lost, and obviously Trevor is someone that we lost, you know, and I definitely wanted to talk of just some of the interactions that you had, you know what I'm saying, because sometimes, you know, we just keep it and we don't really hear much about it, but you guys have musical experiences of it, working with him still, yeah, whether it's conventional or local programs, you know. If you guys just give me a little insight about, you know, I know there's stories for days. I think everyone's got like stories for days in there. But just something that, you know, on a musical tip which, you know, maybe inspired you or what input did
I must say this.
There,
sorry, yeah.
So I know I didn't want to put Alvin on the spot.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
But I know all of you have had interaction with Josh and Trevor, and I don't want to be biased because I know he's my brother.
Right.
I think there's quite a list of guys that have lost. There's Les, there's Ken. So I think if we can just, are we happy just to stick with those two if you're comfortable to share? And then, as you suggested, we can put them on as a show reel. If you don't want to speak, I totally understand.
That's good.
If we want to, again, if you don't want to say anything, you don't have to. But I know it's sensitive. I know it is so. But I think I stand here. Sorry, Raj. This is gold. I still don't think you guys realise the impact that you've had. I was saying to Roger, I've played with all the three. I've played with you.
No, I know you're okay.
When I was young, I played with you when I was young. I started playing with you when I was about 4 or 5. You know, I played with you guys. That's massive for me. So, and I says to Roger, you're drummers, bass players. Because you play bass lines, it's easy to sit down and not so much Alvin because I was a sticky man. I can play with Alvin. Not everybody can. I can. I can play with Wayne. Not everybody can. And I can play with Glenn. We're brothers. The synergy's there. So no offense because I've never worked with you.
No. That's
good. But you could as well.
Yeah.
But it's a dream. If I'm turning up and I know one of you guys is on it, my job's done.
Yes, easy for you. Yeah, easy.
Because you know the synergy is there.
Yes, I understand.
It's okay. And I know for a fact playing with Trevor and Josh was an absolute dream. I couldn't even mention Paul Reed. I could drop that in there. But it's endless. And unfortunately, they've left a huge gap when it comes to guitar playing. So that's just my personal. I don't really like to talk about that too much. So sorry.
Yeah, it's cool. Can I go to the Yeah, cool. That's cool. So yeah, guys, this say, and even if there's because what I want to do is like I said, compile the people that we haven't got today, and actually be able to just like, you know, see the youngsters, about the people that, you know what I mean, worked in the mirrors, and just pay homage to people, you know, the people in the past. And too often we put flowers and talk stories afterwards and whatever. And I want to document this stuff because people's done amazing stuff, you know, for our communities, who paved the way, mashed down a whole heap of doors, but for the young people today. And one of the inspirations for me to do this project with and Ray, working together with Ray, is the fact that I work with kids that are now of dual heritage, mixed heritage, talented musicians, but don't know their grandparents. So they struggle with mental health issues because they don't have a lack of resilience. They don't see anything positive with blackness. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to music, all they see is grime, rap and whatsoever, and that's what we do. Sorry, music is more than that for us as black people. So for me, it goes more even on a cycle at a resilience level, that we see so many young people don't know their black side of the family. How many times does that happen? Don't know the black side of the family, and then walk around like they don't, moping in the bedroom. No, your grandparents came over with nothing. You got a bedroom to yourself. You never sleep in a bed with 9 brothers and sisters. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I want to kind of like really highlight what you guys have done and what you guys have been around. You know what I'm saying? So that's another heart element. So some important to making like Windrush was powerful for them to hear that. You know, and what their grandparents went through. You know what I mean? That's why for me, yeah, definitely. So I don't know if that makes sense now.
Yeah, I can hear what you're saying. Yeah, it does make a lot of sense, because what you're saying, that was exactly what was going on in the community. You know, I mean, growing up in Annesworth at the time, I mean, there used to be a lot of blacks. Now there isn't. You know, I mean, you know, they're not being produced like the work. It used to be big families and that. So, I mean, even when I was a youngster, as you were saying, meeting my family and my friends and sharing, you know, their experience living at home, you know, have to put up with, you know, the father was always stubborn. Mother, you could always go to mom and get around mom, but the father knows what the hardest one.
I remember your dad,
To get around him.
I remember your dad.
You know, my dad was a
He
very
was short,
big man.
but you don't mess with him.
But believe me, I used to have friends coming to like come to take me to school or whatever. They reached off where they used to turn back, because the moment they hit my dad,
And he had a beard as well.
that's right, you know what I mean? They got frightened, so they got, you know, so that was an experience, you know, in itself. But yeah, it's like, you know, I was saying the same thing about living in the credit crunch. We're all living in the credit crunch. We know, you know, we're coming from poor, you know, family, and, you know, mom, you know, would wash the rice, or, you know, ton cornmeal and all them things. You know what I mean?
You have to pick rice.
That used to be my job.
There you go.
Rice.
People today don't even know what we're talking
You know
about.
what I mean?
Picking rice.
We have to do these things for ourselves. You know, we grow up like that. You know, mom say, listen, you have to learn, because you're a big man. You know, you're a woman. You can learn to help yourself.
Yes.
You know, and those were the things that, you know, we were growing up.
Regarding, you said the musicians, like Trevor, while I grew up with Trevor, my brother, and we learnt together. If Trevor learnt a new lick, he'd go, listen to this, you know, and I'd do the bass line to it, and that's how we're done. We was in church playing, we didn't even have to look at each other. Occasionally I'd glance over and I'd see a smile, and he was all right with that. So I know I'm doing all right, you know what I mean? And we think along the same way. Then we done, Shiloh Band came in, and we tried to get it right, because I always remember years ago, somebody coming to watch Spiritual Rhythm. It could have been this guy, because they wanted to take it up further, and they says, you're all good musicians, but you're not playing together. Do you know what I mean? I always remembered that. So you need to play together. So our motto for Shiloh Band was simple but effective.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
And it was.
give room for another musician to play.
That's right.
So it all fits as one.
That's right.
And then there was a time when Josh done a stint with the Shiloh Band, and it was like he was. I knew he was playing, and then all of a sudden he came and he was playing like George Benson. I didn't know when he left, and I couldn't believe what he was playing. And you know how shy he was. But the man could play.
He could.
So you
Very
know,
much could.
These guys, you haven't even got to. You haven't got to think about it. You know they're playing, you just want to play with them, because
That's right.
they're so brilliant and talented.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a scary thing about Josh. as good as he was, and as much as people rated him, most people only heard a fraction of what he could do because he was shy.
Yeah, I can understand
He always
that.
held back.
That's
He
right.
never pushed himself forward and never did anywhere near as much as he could do. Very rarely. Very,
You
very
would have heard
rarely.
a lot of him.
Yeah,
But
I
the
think
thing
I'm-
about it, we brought him on, was it 2007, 2010, for the concert, the Prince concert. And he was in America and he was playing bass.
Yes,
But we wanted him to play guitar, so he said he hasn't played guitar for ages.
he was a wicked bass
we
player
brought
as
him
well.
over.
I can imagine.
In fact, I wish sometimes I could play bass as well as he could. Trust me, he was a wicked bass
Yeah, I
player.
could imagine.
Yeah, he was a great
could
bass player, but
imagine.
just so humble.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That was a big lesson for some musos. You don't have to be big-headed because you can play. And like I said, most of the time he just really held back. Very, very rarely, if he was playing out the country and he got a bit excited, then he'd relax and kind of let go.
A
of it.
couple of the times, right, he played from the disc. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because he
While
didn't
was
want to be
mixing-
up front, so
There
he
you
played
go.
from the disc. Just plugged in and he was playing from the disc. I remember him doing
Yeah.
that.
But he was like Trevor, he had such a, what I call musical common sense and musical sensitivity. It's like both of them just knew, they had a knack of knowing exactly what to play, when to play it, how to play it, what tone to use.
That's right.
I mean, with Trevor, I always say that Trevor didn't play the guitar. He would hold it and gently caress it, and these wicked sounds would come out. And he had big hands,
Yes,
and yet he'd play that little neck.
I used to watch it, like he just used to go like that.
Yeah.
There's this sound that comes
Gentle
out.
touch, man. That's
Yeah.
right. That's
And his
absolutely
tone.
right. Yeah.
Trevor had studio quality tone right there in front of you without being in the studio.
Yeah, he was always a gentle guitar player.
Yes.
You know, another thing
That
that,
was
I
needed.
always thought to myself, it's like all these great musicians, secular or whatever, when they die, they take that skill with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I always thought if they could just pass it on, touch somebody, pass that skill on to somebody, but it ain't gonna happen.
It's a gift.
Amazing.
Another extraordinary guitarist that we've lost as well, Ronnie Lycett. Same thing.
Yeah.
When we played at your concert, when we were rehearsing,
Well, I was in Utopia with him.
That's
there
right.
you, oh, yes, that's right. I forgot
Yeah,
about Utopia.
with him and oh gosh,
Elliot, not Elliot.
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 Yeah. That was a complete change for me because these guys. I can only remember the one night. Somebody said, "Oh, there's a couple of guys waiting for you outside church." Oh, yeah, that's okay. Went out and it was Ronnie and Elliot. And they said, we got a band and we'd like you to come and play bass. I said, okay. So I turned up and these guys started playing and I'm thinking, hang on. Here's me growing up on 3 chords, probably 4. And these were playing chords all over the place. But it was the best one, the most diverse. And they had a sound that was we had a sound that was so different. But I just got married and it was time to have a family and
Do you know something?
and that was that I had to draw the line on it.
They tried to poach me.
Okay.
They came to me asking Trevor if Glenn could play, and Trevor said, no. He's playing, he's with Shiloh, man. You know what I mean? But it's one of them things. I remember when I heard them, because my man used to sing, didn't he?
Yeah, it was completely different. For me, who grew up playing fairly predictable gospel music, it was completely different. The chord changes, the structure, it was great, and I loved it. But when the family came, it was the family, and I, that was it, yeah.
But Ronnie was another one. He would, when he held his chords, he didn't hold them in the traditional way.
That's right, yes.
He would hold them in almost like a backhanded kind of
And
way.
then you hear this sound.
And then this beautiful tone would come out. And say he's playing a song and it was like G major to A minor. I'm looking at his hand to see the A minor shape and it would look like Z. And then he would strum it and it was the sweetest A minor chord you ever heard.
I watched
To
it.
the point when rehearsing with him one day for your concert, I had to stop the rehearsal I said, Ronnie, I'm sorry, I can't look at you because it's just too sweet. And I'm watching and I'm playing foolishness on the bass because I'm just so mesmerized.
Yeah, he
And
was
I
a
even said to
brilliant, brilliant
him,
rhythm player.
And I said to him on the concert, if I don't look at you at all, don't feel no way. It's just that you're playing is sweeting me so much. I just can't even watch you.
Yeah, he was
Seriously.
brilliant.
Amazing
Yeah.
guitarist.
Elliot was, again, was an ace guitar player as well.
Elliot Brown, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, man, they were brilliant. Yeah.
But again, Ronnie especially was just so humble. And
Yes.
them guys, they were just so down to earth and approachable. You know, you pay Ronnie a compliment and he'd be like, no. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
just cool.
Amazing.